Hello, everybody. Happy Merry Christmas Eve, guys. We've got a bombshell for you today. It is over for Tim Walz and Gavin Newsom, guys. I'm telling you, bombshell news has dropped this morning over so much fraud that has been caught. We literally have almost $100 billion in fraud that has now been found out, been exposed from these two governors, guys, from some of the bluest states in the United States, and now a coalition of almost 100 mayors are working with the Trump administration to force Tim Walz to resign. And Gavin Newsom is next. This is an early Christmas present to all the MAGA folk to get justice, to force two of the most left-wing, progressive, anti-American sanctuary city governors out there out of office. Get them out, put in a MAGA America First governor. Guys, if you appreciate this, guys, hit the thumbs up like button, because I'm telling you, this is an early Christmas present to all those that want justice and want to stop wasting our hard-earned taxpayer dollars, everybody. The Trump administration has now formally demanded the resignation of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, with increased investigation from the DOJ into the massive fraud and dereliction of duty. On top of that, California has just been found out to have spent almost $80 billion in wasted fraud from federal funds. Guys, hear this, almost $80 billion. The DOJ will be working to force them to resign. President Trump's SBA is also halting tens of millions of dollars from Minnesota and California as of this morning from the secretary over the SBA. Guys, this is what we voted for. The massive waste, the massive abuse of your taxpayer dollars from these big blue states stepping over Americans to give them to illegals. Guys, we are winning. This is over for them. When you've got almost 100 mayors that have come together and say, we want these governors to resign, that's whenever you lost it. The optics are terrible for Gavin Newsom and Tim Walz right now. The Trump administration is after them. So much, not just millions, but billions of dollars, totaling up to almost $100 billion from these two states have been found out. This is where they have completely lost it. Get them out of here, guys, because again, we are pushing forward with Trump for the MAGA agenda to do what is best for Americans. I've got some examples for you guys. You're not going to believe this. Massive waste in the government. We spent $244,000 on a Pakistani climate change cartoon. Yes, $244,000 for a cartoon for climate change to show in Pakistan. We have $2.1 million spent on saliva samples and surveys at EDM clubs for drug research. $5.2 million to dose dogs with cocaine. You heard me right. $5.2 million to dose dogs with cocaine. And we also have $14.6 million to make monkeys play the Price is Right inspired video game. You cannot make this stuff up, guys. This is where your hard-earned dollars goes to, and we are stopping it. We now know that there was, without a doubt, cheating in the Fulton County in 2020 election between Biden and Trump. Now that has been confirmed. Guess what? Another state has just come out of the mix. This is what we wanted, guys. This is literally conspiracy theories that have been proven true. The state of Michigan elections has been found out to have had 500,000 more registered voters than voting age adults. Now the DOJ is asking for their voter rolls through the courts. Guys, this is two states. How much you want to bet there's going to be about 10 to 15 more that have horrible voter rolls? I'm telling you, the 2020 election rigged 100%. And we also have reports now that allegedly the Big Blue, a Democratic organization called Act Blue that funds the Democratic campaigns, was involved with all this fraud, guys. This is reports now. Now the Trump administration has directed the DOJ to investigate and given the DOJ 6 months to produce a report on the Democrats' organization Act Blue that to illegally bypass campaign finance laws and accept foreign money for the Democrats to try to help them win the elections. Boom, baby. I'm telling you guys, bombshell news today. This is massive. It is over for these Democrats. Because again, once you now you found out that you've got multiple states that voter rolls were all rigged and illegal votes counted, then you find out that their dang organization that funds them almost $2 billion in the 2024 presidential election, a lot of it came from foreign money. Guys, again, it is over. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What a huge, huge day. We're going to show you all this fraud, waste, and abuse. I love it. I hope you do too. Big show for you today. I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, to all of our members and subscribers. If you are not part of the family yet, hit that subscribe button. Let us take care of you with breaking news every single day. I want to thank everybody that donates, helps us in our giving. Guys, we donated a couple days ago over $10,000 to local charities. And because of your giving, we're going to be doing another huge donation January 22nd. Y'all are amazing. Give some special love to Elaine Demeen, Donald Little, Kathleen Beigenwald, The Real KRO, our boy Jim Barbato, OG of the channel, El Prophet, Papa Don, Kathy Brewer. Show them some love in the chat, and if you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button. Guys, this is a big, big show for us today. Not only are we digging down deep into this fraud, waste, and abuse, guys, we have the receipts. That's what's most important. Listen to this.
Even though you're in the minority and they haven't done anything wrong. Then, of course, there's the $1.6 trillion in taxpayer funding wasted, and it's being exposed by Senator Rand Paul. He says this: why are we spending millions of dollars to teach teenage ferrets to binge drink alcohol or to dose dogs with cocaine? More than $14 million has been spent to teach monkeys to play Price is Right. It's an inspired Price is Right inspired game, I should say. We don't want to get an infringement or a problem with licensing. And $2.1 million has been spent on researching the spit of partiers at EDM clubs to check their drug use. I'm actually not sure what an EDM club is. While we're listing these off, let's tell HHS to stop spending north of $22 billion to fund furniture, car repairs, welfare, and home down payments for
right there.
Illegals.
$22.6 billion spent in 2024. 2025. $22.6 billion on paying things like furniture, car repairs, home down payments, and welfare for illegals. Guys, this is from the HHS. Black and white, all factual. Tell me, is this not us showing everybody that every single dang Democrat that said not a dime or a penny is going to illegal migrants, that's federal taxpayer liars? You are a liar, and we are showing it right here.
This isn't just related to politics. I've got issues with other people who don't know how to merge on the highway, who see a crowded elevator and get on slowly or walk off slowly, even though I'm in a rush. If you're in the middle of a sidewalk, keep on moving, pick a side. Meanwhile, I don't want to give Secretary Duffy credit. I do want to give him credit, I should say, for bringing this one issue to everybody's attention. When you go to the airport, leave the pajamas in your luggage.
Maybe dressing with some respect. Whether it's a pair of jeans and a decent shirt, I would encourage people to maybe dress a little better, which encourages us to maybe behave a little better. Let's try not to wear slippers and pajamas as we come to the airport.
It's not too much to ask. I got so many more grievances, but my producers are telling me I have to stop. So that brings us to the next part of Festivus.
And now, as Festivus rolls on, we come to the feats of strength.
Not the feats of strength.
Yes, feats of strength. And we got plenty of that this year in the Trump cabinet. Have you noticed? You got Secretary Duffy doing pull-ups now that his shoulder better, while not wearing pajamas in the airport. You got to respect that. Vice President Vance, I think yesterday, getting pushed to the limit by the Navy SEALs over in California. The great Pete Hegseth, always working out with the troops, whether it's cold, whether it's icy, or really hot. And RFK Jr. does his workout in jeans, or did he just forget his shorts? What a change from last year when President Biden couldn't find his way off a stage. So with us right now is someone who knows how to air a grievance or two. He loves this format, and I imagine he celebrates Festivus as big as Christmas. Louisiana Senator John
Guys, this is so big. I just got to show you because, again, this came out this morning. New reports allege up to $76.5 billion or more in fraudulent spending in California. This makes Minnesota look like child's play. Guys, this all coming out. Every single one of this, guys, we are showing you because, again, too, it matters. Every single time they spend your hard-earned dollars in a fraudulent way, we're going to expose them because guess what? Mainstream media isn't doing it. We're going to show you all the receipts. We're going to show you what it's going for because, again, we want your hard-earned money to stay in your pocket, not our wasteful government. If you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind, hit the thumbs up like button. Show Jim Barbato some love in the chat with the super chats. Let's go. Thank you so much, Kathy Brewer. Merry Christmas to you. Jeremy Cowles, welcome to the family. Papa Don, been a member for 8 months. Let's go. The Memphis Conservative, Merry Christmas to you and happy holidays. And Don Sturgis, our boy from mid-Michigan, appreciates the honest daily updates. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Keep up the good work with the children's and the home giving. I love it. Show Don, the Memphis Conservative, Kathy Brewer, Jim Barbato, Papa Don, Jeremy, El Prophet, Real KR, some love in the chat, everybody. Listen to this because I'm telling you, they are dropping the bombs today.
California Congressman Kevin Kiley, he is sounding the alarm in his home state, saying under Governor Gavin Newsom's leadership, it has become the, quote, fraud capital of America.
And we have team coverage. Our national correspondent, Alana Austin, is on Capitol Hill with more on the investigations into Tim Walz. But we start with correspondent Heather Myers, who has more on what is going on in California. A rainy day out there on the West Coast. Heather, what can you tell us?
Well, good afternoon to you, Katrina and Andrew. This latest report was issued by the state auditor, and that's a nonpartisan position. That state auditor now puts 8 state agencies on the high-risk list of agencies to watch out for things like fraud and mismanagement as well as waste. Here's a look at that 92-page report. Newly added to the high-risk list is California's food stamp program. If the state doesn't get the improper payments under control, it could cost an extra $2.5 billion. Also on there is the Department of Finance, which was tasked with giving out COVID relief funds. Critics say $32 billion of that was taken by fraudsters. Then there are infrastructure issues like California's...
So you just heard that, $2.5 billion over budget on food stamps. $32.5 billion stolen from COVID relief funds. The state auditor found 8 high-risk state agencies within the state of California, totaling up to what? Almost $80 billion, guys.
Deteriorating dams and also the high-speed train that's already cost taxpayers $18 billion without a single section of track complete. Other reports cite $24 billion spent on the homeless issue that critics claim the state lost track of. More recently, there's a report that says California cell phone users paid a surcharge for years to upgrade the state's 911 system. Here's Congressman Kevin Kiley talking about what happened to that plan.
That after spending $650 million on that system, the state is totally scrapping it and starting over, completely wasting the money because the technology doesn't work. Mind you, we are very close to Silicon Valley in Sacramento, and yet the government can't figure out how to make basic technology perform.
And this dude, and Gavin Newsom wants to run the United States of America with his failed California state. You just heard it, $24 billion in homeless. And then they just lost track of where all the money went. Oh my goodness, guys. I'm telling you, if this isn't the fraud, waste, and abuse, listen to Senator Kennedy on what is coming to these nefarious, wasteful people using your hard-earned dollars for their private agendas, growing their private luxury lifestyles. I'm sick of it. I know you are too. Check this out.
Kennedy is the author of the best-selling book, How to Test Negative for Stupid. Senator, let's stay with the theme. What's ticked you off this year, and what do you think is going to tick you off next year?
Oh, this year, in some ways, Brian, has been frustrating in the sense that nothing that the Trump administration do no matter what it is, even if it's something very, very, very positive. He's not given credit for it by many members of the media. That's aggravating. I've said this before, but it's frustrating sometimes that Washington, D.C., you know it, it's a Democratic town, not just the Democrats in Congress, but the think tanks, the academics, the bureaucrats, and that can be frustrating. I've said before, I don't hate anybody. I look for grace wherever I can find it, but there's some days when I walk to my office on the Capitol and I give myself a pep talk and I say, today, Kennedy, you're going to follow Jesus, but by 10 o'clock, I want to follow Jesus still, but I want to slap somebody.
Right.
But I love my job, and this Christmas, I'm not thinking about grievances. I'm thinking about gratitude. I'm thinking about grace. I'm thankful, in addition to my God and for my family. I'm thankful to live in the most star-spangled country in all of human history.
And it's going to be a big year.
I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. You ended up positive, which is good. And we're celebrating year 250. So let's look ahead to the midterms. So I know exactly what you guys are going to do, and so do the Democrats. They know what you did in 25, and they know what you're going to try to do in 26, around the world and at home. I don't know what Democrats are going to do, but I have a prediction. If they get control of the House, it's going to be investigation and it's going to be impeachment. Do you think the American people want to flip the House for those two reasons?
I think statistically, except for two off-year elections, the party, in this case the Democrats, opposite the party of the president, President Trump, of course, is a Republican, always does well in the midterms.
Yeah.
So the odds are against us. But that doesn't mean we're a smoked turkey. We've accomplished a lot in the One Big Beautiful Bill, and it's going to kick in the first of the year, and it's going to help. But I don't think we should stop. We passed the One Big Beautiful Bill without any Democratic votes under what we call reconciliation. We don't need Democratic votes to do it again and a third time. Unless you think there's some kind of award for being dumb, right. It's just foolish for us not to pass another big, beautiful bill to address the cost of housing and health care, the cost of living, and for the life of me, I don't understand why we're not doing that. Right. It's been 5 months since we passed the One Big Beautiful Bill.
And Senator Thune is just...
Let me tell you this, everybody. It is all coordinated. It's all a coordinated plan to go after the corruption, the fraud, the waste, the abuse. But I want to show you this because I'm telling you, now the Trump administration is formally demanding the resignation of Governor Tim Walz due to the massive fraud and dereliction of duty. This is all happening. This is 100% to me orchestrated that this happens in the year 2026. Reason being, we have midterms. But remember, if they do this now and they show the fraud, waste, and abuse and they expose Gavin Newsom, Tim Walz, and other blue state governors that have just allowed massive fraud to happen in their states with no accountability whatsoever. Who have you heard that's gotten fired that's actually worked in the Minnesota governor department, the actual state department? You haven't heard anybody. This is what we're talking about. And now that this is happening, this is just the beginning. This is going to make us win the 2026 midterms big time, because now people will be able to see without a shadow of a doubt, you cannot trust these big blue state governors or these blue cities. If you appreciate this, guys, mind hitting the thumbs up like button. Thank you so much for your support. Our boy Richard with the gifted membership. Let's go. Show Richard some love in the chat, everybody. Thank you so much, brother, for your support. And give it up for our boy Chris Prez with the 5 gifted True Life News memberships. Show him some love in the chat if you got a free membership from them. And also, too, remember, he gave a ton of memberships yesterday. So give it up for our boy Chris. Thank you so much, brother, for your support.
Phone call away. I know he takes your calls and has great respect for you. But you know what I worry?
Well, look, I have great respect for Senator Thune, and he's not said no. He said he's keeping his options open. But people need to understand that the Senate rules can be deeply weird. Only the majority leader can bring a bill to the Senate floor.
Okay.
So I can have the greatest bill in the world, but I can't get it on the Senate floor without the majority leader's permission.
So, Senator, real quick, you have 3 Supreme Court justices, conservative, who are 70 plus. Should they retire while Republicans are still in charge?
No. I think every member of the Supreme Court's doing just fine. I wouldn't encourage them to retire. I wouldn't. I don't. And I don't really know which 3 you're talking about. But I don't care whether they're so-called conservatives or liberals. I think they're doing a fine job. I'm proud of the Supreme Court. I'm not happy with every opinion, but I'm proud of them. I think they're doing a good job.
Yeah, today they did stop the National Guard for going into Illinois, so it allowed the illegal immigrants to run wild.
But that's not permanent. That's a temporary. And I don't know how they're going to rule on the case, but they held it up temporarily till they can take a closer look at the merits. And I've been very proud of this Supreme Court for standing up for the federal judiciary as an equal branch of government. And when I count my blessings, I count them twice.
Senator, you look like you have a very festive house. We really or whatever you
guys. Let me tell you this: what I love is that these investigations that are coming out this morning, this is the type of stuff that totally drains the swamp. Because remember, now that we're going after Gavin Newsom, now that we're going after Tim Walz, forcing them. You have almost 100 mayors, guys. This is big. Listen to this. You go after the entire campaign budget. You go after the entire money that funds their 2026 campaigns, the 2028 campaigns, because you find out that they don't really have as much money as they say they do. A lot of it's coming from foreign money is what they're showing, what they're reporting. Listen to this.
Meanwhile, President Trump is directing the Justice Department to investigate Act Blue. This is a Democratic donation platform.
Boom.
And the focus as the allegations about illegal straw donors and foreign contributions. Mark Meredith is live in Washington with more. This has been brewing for a while, Mark. What do we need to know?
Dana, for years, you're right about this, but this is a big development. The White House is directing the Attorney General to investigate the Democratic Party's top fundraising platform. It's called Act Blue, and the president says he wants to know if foreign money is being donated to the group and then utilized to sway elections. Democrats are calling this probe a dangerous abuse of power. Act Blue is an enormous operation in Democratic politics. It's raised more than $16 billion since 2004. You may have seen the text pop up from candidates saying, please donate, go to the Act Blue website. Republicans use something similar called Win Red. There was a new memo signed on Thursday directing the Attorney General to investigate if foreign nationals are using the Act Blue platform to bypass campaign finance laws. Trump wants a report out in 6 months.
Guys, this is what we voted for. They got 6 months to investigate, go in, figure out what's going wrong, because I'm telling you, every time there's a big Democratic progressive outlet, there is fraud like nobody's business. BLM leader now faces up to 450 years in prison with 20 counts of wire fraud, 5 counts of money laundering. This was the same organization that said, oh, we're going to fight for our people and we're going to give them money and we're going to make sure they're taken care of. Guess what? 450 years potentially in prison because stole so much millions and millions of dollars. This is, I'm telling you, we are finding out the Democratic Party is just wrought with fraud like nobody's business. And again, you got to think, what is happening? What's going on? It's only getting worse for them, everybody. Listen to this, because now that you have almost 100 mayors that are coming out against Tim Walz, that dude's about to lose his job in a heartbeat, and I promise you there's going to be indictments extremely fast. Listen to this.
Almost our vice president. Mike Emanuel, thank you very much. Appreciate it. For more on this, let's bring in Mehek Cook, attorney and American Frontier Strategy CEO, and Caroline Sunshine, Trump 2024 Deputy Communications Director. Great to see you both. Mehek, you're an attorney. Minnesota has this law protecting whistleblowers, by the way. It's a pretty good law. It's straightforward. Many of the people who were at the Social Services Administration claim that Governor Walz was not only downplaying the extent of this fraud that they were seeing with their own eyes, but he was threatening them. This is what they claim, that he was actually threatening them to either ignore it or not to speak about it, saying if you do, you're going to face consequences from this office. If that's true, if that's found to be true, that he was making threats and it was against the whistleblower law, he's breaking the law, isn't he?
David, Governor Walz has broken so many laws sitting at the helm in Minnesota, and I think that we really have to launch a full-out investigation, not only for the fraud that's occurring today, which can amount to $9 billion, but we also have to look at what laws Walz broke, because he knowingly knew that individuals, including auditors, were stating that fraud is occurring, and it was predominantly within the Somalian community. And you know what Governor Walz was terrified of? The word racist. The minute people realized that there were brown people coming to our country and exploiting our laws and our welfare system, Walz was so scared of his own shadow that he turned his back on millions of Americans in his state. So we need to fully investigate this, and I think we have to audit America overall. We are looking at trillions of dollars that are spent, $1.6 trillion in welfare. What other states? Ohio, I know it's happening, and we have an attorney general here in Ohio that's starting an investigation. Every state should be auditing our welfare program because it is fraught with fraud and waste, and it's predominantly from the Somalian and some of these migrant communities that came here. We imported exploitation and fraud from these third world countries.
Well, Caroline,
let me tell you this, guys. I'm going to break this down for you because I feel like people don't really understand how much your money is being stolen from you to funnel the Democratic regime. Okay? Clear as day, black and white, right here. When you go to work, you are taxed. The government sends $300 billion of your tax dollars to fund college faculties. Those college faculties are overwhelmingly Democrat. 90% of all college faculties, 90% everybody are Democratic. 90% of the political donations from the faculties go to Democratic politicians. So Americans are essentially forced to pay the Democrats to keep and prop them up as a political party from the education department. Why do you think Trump has been so adamant to take down the education department? $300 billion of your tax dollars goes to fund these people. 90% of them are Democrats. And then 90% of their political donations go to Democratic politicians. We are funneling our own demise. Why do you think, guys, they've been so adamant about all these things? Because the truth is, the facts are right here. Fact check me, anybody. This is the truth. And if you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button. Robert Cash, thank you so much for the super chat, brother. Said Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you so much, brother, for your support. Anna Diaz, thank you so much for your support. Said, I'm glad all these investigations are happening. But until I see people go to jail, I'm not satisfied. Happy to be part of the TrueLife News because I know where this team's heart is at. Keep up the good work, everyone. Amen. Thank you so much, Anna. Show Anna some love in the chat, as well as Robert Cash. You want to know? Okay, so I just told you about that. You want to know about the Festivus report? A couple of highlights? Guess what? You see it right here. Pakistani climate change cartoon, $250,000. Dose dogs with cocaine. $5.2 million. Why do we have to dose dogs with cocaine to study how it affects them when we just know it's a bad drug? It's been around for God knows how long. Why do we need to keep studying it? Make monkeys play Price is Right inspired video game, $14.6 million. It never ends, everybody. And this is one of the biggest ones out of all of them. The Obamacare subsidies. 2/3 of the spending on the Obamacare subsidies doesn't even benefit the consumer. Insurers get an automatic 38%. Dead weight loss, 28%. And then 34% goes to the actual enrollees. Why do you think we're trying to stop this? All the facts, everything's right here. This is the source. Guys, I'm telling you, this is such a money pit of the United States, has been wrought with fraud. There's a reason why we're $38 trillion in debt. There's a reason why people are fed up and they're tired of giving their tax money to these dang politicians. Listen to this.
Meanwhile, the governor's just trying to downplay it all. You heard that one comment that he made from Mike's report, but he's also on X posts putting out pictures of himself in an easy chair sitting next to a Christmas tree. Everything is fine, pay no attention. But again, according to the social workers who saw the fraud happening, and these were seasoned veterans, these were government workers who'd seen it before, for goodness sakes, I mean, it was pretty clear. And if he was threatening these workers, that he not only broke the law, but then you also have Ellison, the attorney general, who apparently was caught on tape downplaying any problems to these fraudsters that they were having, saying, don't worry, we'll kind of take care of it. And apparently a couple of them sent some campaign contributions his way. It was more than just ignoring the problem. There was a complicity here, no?
Oh,
so
yeah.
Again, just remember, who is the representative in Congress from Minnesota? Elon Omar, who is Somali. And remember, correlation doesn't mean causation. But it's very interesting that there's $9 billion in fraud from the Somali group. Who is the representative that got the entire program going? Her name is Elon Omar, also Somali. Remember, who's the person who also says she hates America and that white men are all the problems? Elon Omar. Then you got Governor Tim Walz, who has no investments, doesn't own his home, has no, just when it comes to money, this dude is just out of it. Do you expect a guy who's never been able to actually produce and generate income and revenue to manage tens of billions of dollars over a state? That's where this is all coming from, everybody. It's common sense. Why do you think our economy is booming? It's because you got a businessman in the presidential seat who knows how to grow a company, knows how to make deals, and knows how to build, not just continue to take like all these dang Democratic representatives. And don't forget about those rhino Republicans as well.
David, it's exactly what you said. You said, thank God this guy didn't become vice president. I mean, Tim Walz was on the vice presidential ticket with Kamala Harris. I think back to that because I remember, being on the campaign and talking about how at the time we knew Tim Walz wasn't fit to serve as vice president. And now we definitely know he's not fit to serve as governor of Minnesota. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. He might not survive this scandal. We'll see how that goes.
Right there, y'all.
The magnitude of the fraud Mehek was mentioning, $9 billion. So Tim really wants everybody to believe that there was $9 billion worth of fraud going on in his state, and he had no idea it was happening. That is either gross negligence or you are absolutely lying. For reference here, $9 billion worth of fraud is the size of an entire industry. The U.S. theatrical release movie market this year brought in $9 billion. If the fraud is now the size of an entire industry, and in fact, if it was a business in Minnesota, that fraud would be one of the top 20 largest companies in that state.
Yeah.
And I also agree with Mehek mentioning, everyone, it has nothing to do with racism. 90% of the fraud, it has been confirmed, was committed by people of Somali descent.
90%.
And what's really tragic to me about the state of Minnesota, actually, is I think to understand the scope of this fraud, too, you have to understand a piece of legislation called the Refugee Act of 1980 that was signed into law by Jimmy Carter. It changed the way that the United States took in refugees, and it said that the United States has a moral obligation to take in refugees from the most burning parts of the world. And Somalia met that criteria. And so in the 90s, prior to 1990, Minnesota didn't have a Somali population. They came here as refugees under that law. And what's particularly sad is Minnesota was actually specifically chosen as a haven for those refugees because it was known for having law-abiding citizens, excellent job opportunities,
well, and it does.
Great industry.
It does have law-abiding citizens, but I think it goes far beyond the Somali issue. I mean, yes, that community took advantage. There was also a Somali community.
Okay, again, I just want to reiterate because this is how important this is, everybody. It's one community that they have found. 1 investigations into this community's fraud, waste, and abuse. We haven't even investigated the rest of the state, everybody. That's why President Trump's SBA is already halting $5.5 million in annual funding to Minnesota. Is $5.5 million compared to $9 billion? It's a drop in the bucket. Because remember, for every $1 billion, it takes $1,000 million to make $1 billion. So this is a drop in the bucket, but it's still pulling back funding. Not only that, just remember, this is what you're comparing to. All the policies of Europe, the United Kingdom, everybody, they're all losing right now. Think about that. The United Kingdom grew by 0.1% in their GDP. The European Union grew by 0.4%. Japan fell by 0.6%, while Donald Trump's economy grew by 4.3%. Even while we are figuring out all this fraud, waste, and abuse. So this is why, again, everybody, as we continue to find out the fraud, the waste, the abuse, the people that are standing up against this right here, of people that have taken advantage of these minority groups, of people that took advantage of being a refugee in the United States and then coming in and stealing billions of dollars from our hard-earned taxpayers. Guys, I have no sympathy whatsoever. I have no empathy. I have no sympathy. Get their butts out. I never want to see them again here in the United States. You stole from the people that were trying to bless you by giving you freedom within the United States. That's how I see it. Jerry Milstein, thank you so much for gifting a TrueLife News membership. Let's go. Show Jerry some love in the chat. And don't forget to show Anna and our boy Chris Press some love in the chat. And that's why, again, too, I show you this because this stuff makes me sick. That in the United States, when it comes to Medicare, when it comes to healthcare, the United States filed False Claims Act complaint against 3 national health insurance companies and 3 brokers alleging unlawful kickbacks. Okay? This happened against our seniors. This happened against those that are barely making it. That's why we partnered with this company, Chapter. They are a free service to you. If you're turning 65 or if you're over 65 and you're going through any life change, whether you're moving states, changing jobs, healthcare changes, whatsoever, call this company up. I promise you, you'll be blessed. Their number is 667-895-3015. It is a free service to you. It doesn't cost you anything. But they have saved hundreds and hundreds of people thousands of dollars on this channel. And I'm trying to get the total dollar amount because I want to be able to tell you that we've saved, because I know it's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars by our community utilizing this free service to call them up and to be blessed. And that's what we want to keep delivering to you. It is so important because while we're going through all this growth, everybody, it is important that we continue to serve our seniors, those that need it the most, stop the fraud, waste, and abuse. Because again, what's coming is huge. Listen to this.
EJ and Tony, you're joining us. I know it's a quick hit, but you were up this morning beautifully because they're trying to say, oh, it was government spending. It's all this 4.3% doesn't show that Trump's on the right track, everything. But you rebut that. What's the rebuttal, sir? This is real growth?
Oh, Steve, 100%. Look at, for example, federal government purchases in this report. That's not going up this year. It's going down at an annualized rate of over 2% reduction. That's fabulous news. Compare that to the 4 years under Biden. That category of GDP was growing at over 2%. So the idea that somehow this is all government, no, that's what we had under Biden. This is real private sector growth. Consumer spending is absolutely booming right now. And if we look at a lot of the details of this report, Steve, it points to huge increases in productivity. My guess is that has to do with people starting to use AI in their jobs and becoming more productive, getting more work done. But whatever the case, it's definitely a solid number all around. And I know some folks have tried to make hay over the fact that the investment number was essentially flat. It was basically zero for the quarter. But I think there's 2 reasons for that. Number one, businesses have been drawing down inventory because they overstocked at the beginning of the year out of panic. And now they're having to draw down those inventories. But Number two, you're waiting on next year where I think you're going to see a big investment boom because of the tax bill. And so people are waiting on essentially not just some, but all of the provisions to finally kick.
Just think about it, everybody. If we're already at 4.3% GDP and the big, beautiful bill, tax cuts and all that hasn't even taken place, has not even been moved into law for these businesses, I'm not joking, and there are people that are saying we're probably going to see 6 and maybe over 7% GDP in 2026. And if you love this, guys, hit the thumbs up like button, guys. I'm telling you, Trump knows what he's doing.
And that's when I think you're really going to see investment take off, which, by the way, is exactly what happened during the first Trump administration. They got that tax bill done the first go around, and then you saw an investment boom, which led to a hiring boom and a real wages boom. All the dials are really lining up here, Steve. Even when we look at international trade, we're importing less and we're exporting more. Production is up. That's a good sign.
Are you concerned, two things quickly, because you're a labor economist. Number one, I want to ask you about the overall numbers, and are they right? Because they're saying, hey, since he doesn't have a Bureau of Labor Statistics, these numbers are all half-cocked. The AI and the productivity is one of the reasons maybe wages are not rising as much as we want, is that you're starting to see the beginning of AI, quote-unquote, as a productivity tool, but taking out human labor. Are you concerned about that?
Not at the moment, Steve. You're certainly going to have some jobs that are eliminated by AI, but you also have a lot of jobs that AI is being used to allow people to be much more productive. And in those cases, you're actually seeing faster than normal wage growth. And sure enough, what we've seen so far this year has been average earnings growth outpacing inflation. And that's why people's paychecks are not only getting bigger, but on average, you can actually buy more with those paychecks. And so it's absolutely true. Some jobs will get eliminated by AI. That's true with every single technology. But at the same time, it's creating other jobs and it's making other workers more productive, which again is a good sign overall.
You were too MAGA for the Republican establishment to have as head of Bureau of Labor Statistics, although you told us for years what the problem was. You're the guy who identified it years ago. It's the problem. Now they're all complaining, hey, you can't trust any Trump numbers because there's no real guys there. Can you give us a minute on refuting that? Because they're saying, oh, you can't believe any of these numbers because it's coming from Trump. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, Steve, the people complaining about that had no problem endorsing the numbers, which, by the way, the methodologies are all the same. Nothing's changed, right? No one's actually gone in and cleaned house. So if you were okay with the numbers under Biden and we're going to use the exact same methodologies under Trump, why are you all of a sudden not okay with them? That makes absolutely no sense. The big complaint that so many economists had under Biden was not even necessarily the methodology, but the fact that a lot of the numbers we were seeing, like GDP, like the jobs numbers, they were getting artificially increased, if you will, by government hiring and by government spending. And so you weren't actually looking at real growth in the productive private sector. You were looking at, again, just government growth, the government getting bigger, which does not mean more products and services for people to buy. It just means more paperwork. It means more busy work, essentially. It means more expenditures without actually increasing output at all. Today, we're seeing exactly the opposite. So the complaint that people have really has nothing to do with any kind of empirical analysis. It seems to be a purely political attack.
I'm telling you, everybody, all this stuff, when you look at the actual facts, everybody, golly, this is insane. It is now being reported that the United States is on track for the largest single-year murder drop in history under President Trump. Here's the chart. This is data from Real-Time Crime Index that from 2024 and 2025, murders are down 19.8%. Now tell me, how does this not make America safe? How does this, again, people can whine and cry all they want over, oh, they're deporting these criminals and this and the illegals and this and that. But guess what? What this means, a almost 20% drop in the murder rate. Americans are not dying. Americans are not being killed. This is a good thing. How do we continue to see so much propaganda being spurred out from the left-wing media outlet, and they won't even say amazing things like this? a negative 18% drop in robberies, 23% drop in motor vehicle thefts, like almost a 9% drop in rape. Violent crime is down over 10% year over year. Like, are you kidding me? Chris Prez with another gifted 5 TrueLife News memberships. Show Chris some love in the chat, everybody. Thank you so much, brother. If you got a free membership from Chris, show him some love in the chat, everybody. What a blessing. Also show Philip Pet Show some love in the chat. Said COMEX manipulation will affect the dollar. I 100% agree, because you know that dang silver and gold are like historic highs. This is insane. Show Philip and Chris some love in the chat, everybody. Thank you so much, brother, for your support. Because, again, the other part of what I want to show you, everybody's doubling down on this. Of what we've seen, it's getting worse over what's happened with the Minnesota and what's happening with California right now. But this is exactly what we voted for, everybody. This is what we want to see. We want to see perp walks. We want to see people held accountable. 98 mayors are now going against. 98 are working with the Trump administration to remove Tim Walz from his governorship. And next, they said, is Governor Gavin Newsom. Listen to this.
So now joining us, Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett. Greg, thanks for coming on. First of all, these mayors are concerned that the projected $18 billion surplus, which has disappeared for the 2028-2029 biennium, is now replaced with a $3 billion deficit. So ultimately, taxpayers will be on the hook for this alleged rampant fraud in Minnesota, right?
Oh, it just gets worse and worse, Edward. And the sheer magnitude of this fraud, $9 billion, and it's probably more than that, is really, I think, an indictment of the utter incompetence of Tim Walz, who famously called himself a knucklehead during the VP debate, and now he's determined to prove it. He failed or refused to recognize one of the greatest ripoffs of taxpayer money ever that was happening under his nose. And, together with his scandal-plagued Attorney General Keith Ellison, they are the dumb and dumber of Minnesota politics. They're both to blame because they were repeatedly warned about it. And instead of stopping all the graft, they helped the scams flourish. Walz apparently retaliated against the whistleblowers who bravely came forward. And he also tried to discredit all the reports of fraud. That's not just rank incompetence. It's intentional malfeasance. No thanks to him, but thanks to the Trump administration. 92 people have been criminally charged so far, and right. I bet there'll be a lot more.
It's always the cover-up, right, in the history of investigations. So in the letter, Greg, it says the state has slipped in national rankings over the past 5 years. And, quote, there is a growing disconnect between state-level fiscal decisions and the strain they place on cities we lead. When the state expands programs or shifts responsibilities without stable funding, it is our residents, families, seniors, businesses, and workers who ultimately bear the cost. So, Greg, what's the disconnect? And that disconnect, is it weighing on the elections going forward, do you think? The disconnect between, what is happening and what the people are feeling with these budget deficits as well as this fraud?
Yeah, well, only in a place like Minnesota could a guy like Walz get elected in the first place, and now he has the audacity to run again for a third term. But look, Edward, this is what happens when the government starts handing out free money for social welfare programs, food and housing and healthcare, $1 trillion under Biden a year. And they were relying on systemically corrupt states like Minnesota and its bungling governor to oversee those programs. The result, of course, is a predictable morass of swindles and theft. And what's so insidious about it is all the con artists knew they could get away with it because, as your report pointed out, hapless Democrats and the liberal media thought that prosecuting Somalis, that's racist. God forbid putting criminals behind bars might lose precious votes. So the fleecing of...
Again, everybody, it's not just the one blue states. It's multiple blue states that are happening. And this was found out, this was brought up again, that a former Chicago hospital CFO has been convicted in Chicago, everybody, of orchestrating a massive $293 million fake COVID testing operation. Alan Al-Neely and his associates ran more than 20 pop-up sites, falsified test results, siphoned federal funds, spent money on luxury cars and real estate, while patients received fraudulent tests during public health emergency. It's not, this is the thing, it's not that, you know, America is one of the most giving, blessing, charitable, and is the largest in the world charitable nations. But whenever you see it happening again and again and again, all you can think about is, no, we have to stop. Because you got seniors who are being told that their Social Security is going to be dropped by 25% in 2033. You having people on Medicare, Medicaid that are barely making it. It's just continuously being a thorn in everybody's side of just fraud, waste, and abuse, and nothing ever happens. We're finally arresting, I think there's been over almost 90 arrests with the Somali $9 billion fraud, finding out things from Chicago. Now you have it where the ultimate accountability is fire Tim Walz. Make him resign. Don't make him resign. Fire his butt. Because again, the Trump administration has formally demanded the resignation of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz due to the massive fraud and dereliction of duty. Guys, if you appreciate this, hit the thumbs up like button, because I'm telling you, if this doesn't happen, then the Democrats can get away with anything. Chris Prez, brother, thank you so much for another 10 gifted TrueLife News memberships. Show our brother Chris some love in the chat. We appreciate you so much, brother, with all your support. If you got a free membership from Chris, show him some love in the chat, as well as our boy Thomas Brewer with the super chat. Said, Joel, you're doing a great job. Keep us informed. Show us the crooks. Will do, brother. Show Thomas and our boy Chris some love in the chat.
Funds only escalated with impunity as they gave the fraudsters a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Yeah, and I want to hit a point that you just made here. The problem of these big government programs is that they possibly lose sight of accountability, right? And that plagues some of those states run by Democrats, like in the Social Security fraud in California during the pandemic. What is the root cause that allows this fraud to happen?
Yeah, I mean, $31 billion they've discovered in fraud in California so far. The same thing is happening in Ohio. And, you know, look, the government is so huge. The budget is so enormous. And they hand out trillions of dollars for the social welfare programs and say, oh, we're giving it to you, your state, and it's up to you to monitor it. The problem is, in a lot of blue cities and states, they don't bother to double check that people are putting in, you know, money to feed hungry children. They're not getting fed at all. It's going into their bank accounts.
Ooh.
Yeah, it might come down to accountability.
And I told you guys what? Luxury cars, real estate, things like this. Where does it all come from? A lot of it comes from the NGOs. This is why I love this, what you're about to see. Because again, this dream team that's coming together, Marco Rubio, JD Vance, Elon Musk, guys, this is what we voted for. Listen to this.
Hi, it's Marco Rubio. I'm the National Security Advisor and the Secretary of State and the Archivist right now, the acting archivist for the 47th President of the United States, the best president we've ever had, and it's an honor to be able to do this job. We have a lot of achievements this year. Let's start with the peace deals. One peace deal after another. India, Pakistan were ready to go to war, a very dangerous war. The president stopped it. Cambodia and Thailand, we got that peace deal put in place. Azerbaijan and Armenia, a war that could have started that would have been terrible. We put that into place. And of course, Gaza, that long war, nobody saw an end to it. The president got involved, brought it to an end, and with a plan for long-term stability and security. Beyond that, we went to Europe this year, and the president got NATO to do something no president has ever been able to get NATO to do, and that is increase their defense spending to 5%. Just a few years ago, they were at 1%, 2%, 5% for all these countries, an incredible achievement by President Trump and his team here. Beyond that, I'm very proud of the reforms under the president's leadership that we've done at the State Department. We got rid of USAID. We brought all that foreign aid under the State Department so that now when we give money to countries, we know where the money's going and we know we're helping our allies and our friends and not just enriching some, third-party group that's making a bunch of money from your taxpayer dollars. We also help secure the border. That's been a responsibility of the Homeland Security Department, but we had a role to play, not just in the deals we made with other countries to send people back. We've got more countries than ever accepting their people that are in this country illegally from their countries. They're taking them back. They're also helping us stop them from coming here in the first place. This is a great achievement. So on issue after issue, the president has kept his promise to the American people. He's keeping us safe by taking the war to the drug cartels that are poisoning and killing our people. President Trump, he promised to do it, and he's stopping them. He's doing it. He's keeping his promise to you. 2026 is going to bring more challenges, but we have a great president and a great team that he's built, and we can't wait to see the exciting achievements of the year to come. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year to everybody. The best.
Guys, I'm telling you, this is, I think, our next VP. Let me know your thoughts, guys, because the dream team is coming together. I wanted to show you this news because, again, too, it matters. We showed you about the Fulton County who is trying to block the inspection of the fake 2020 ballots. They've already admitted to illegally certifying 315,000 early votes without requiring signatures and chain of custody records. Now there's been 140,000 mail-in ballots that from 2020, they were Biden ballots that have been flagged. They are different paper stock. They have no folds during the Georgia's recount. These are under investigation, and Fulton County doesn't want to turn over these ballots for inspection by the DOJ. So that's why they've been sued. Because again, if we do not hold these people accountable, it'll always continue to happen. But again, already with the 315,000 early votes, remember, Biden beat Trump in the state of Georgia by 11,200 votes. So this right here tells me it was rigged. Now we move on to the second state where things are getting even worse for them. I didn't mean to do the balloons. It just does it when you do the piece. But I'm saying two, okay? Two. Michigan rigged their elections is what they're saying now. Going into 2024 election, Michigan had 500,000 more registered voters than we had of voting age adults. Michigan's Secretary of State is mass sending out voter registrations and is denying the Freedom of Information Act request for the data. Michigan is a slow or no growth state of 10 million people. So how did Michigan, Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, find 750,000 new voters between July and October? This is again now going to be under investigation. Benson sent postcards to 700,000 eligible but unregistered adults in Michigan. How? This is from the ERIC data. How does this even happen? It's whenever there's a coordinated effort to steal the election by any means necessary to try to circumvent any type of oversight or audit. And now that Trump is won, now that Trump's in office, now that Trump has the DOJ, the only reason we know of this fraud, the only reason we know of this rigged elections is because Trump is the president. And now that the economy is growing, now that we're winning, we keep the elections going because, again, too, we are about to potentially have another shutdown in January unless we do something. Listen to this.
Governor of the wonderful state of Florida. Great to see you, Congressman. Thank you for being here, and future governor, perhaps. You got the endorsement of Trump a long time ago, as a matter of fact. But let's first talk about growth. Is the issue of growth going to trump, forgive the expression, but is it going to trump the concerns that people have about affordability?
In part, I think the economic growth numbers under President Trump's leadership are phenomenal. This is one of the reasons why he's back in the White House. If you remember his first term, the first 3 years, the economy was going great, actually. It really hit a speed bump because of COVID-19. Of course. So we're back at it again. The policies are back. You're seeing the economic growth back. I think what's really going to matter in terms of the affordability issues in our country are wages adjusted for inflation. And if you look at the data the last couple of months, that is rising for working families in our country. Very different from when the Democrats had complete control, when wages were decreasing when you adjust them for inflation. That means you're losing wealth. That means your money isn't going as far as it needs to. Donald Trump's economy, once again, is showing that wages are rising. You mix that with higher productivity, I think it's a recipe for success where the wealth effect will then be felt by the American people. I agree with Kevin Haslett's comments just before me. The Fed has every ability they need to do right now to cut rates again. They should have went to a 50 basis point rate cut instead of the tepid 25, but we are where we are. With this GDP report, other great economic news coming out, they should be able to make another cut again. That will help people with respect to affordability, whether it's mortgages, interest rates for cars, or anything else that we're talking about.
I mean, there's a huge wall to climb. We went from an average of $1,200 a month in payments for your house back in 2019, all the way up to $2,700. More than double in just 6 years. We haven't seen a jump like that for ever since, I went back like 30 years. I couldn't see a jump that high in 6 years. So the disconnect between these great GDP numbers, the fact that energy prices have come down, at least in most states that rely on, you have these anomalies like California where oil gas prices are very high because of the state taxes. But gas prices are coming down, energy prices are coming down. How do you level the square for people who see good GDP numbers but don't feel it?
Look, I think that's all going to come out over the next couple of months when people go out and continue to buy gas, pay their light bills, get through the holiday season with their families. All these things are going to add up. And what it's going to present, my view, by first quarter next year is a healthy and growing economy under Donald Trump's leadership. And this is the reason why there was such angst in America from the Joe Biden years, because the economic recipe was a disaster. It was crushing working families. I was just out, doing some Christmas shopping. By the way, Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas.
And I drove by the local Costco. The gallon per gas down here in South Florida was $2.72 for regular, $3.39 for premium. I can't remember the last time I saw gas prices look like that. And that's because of supply side policies, not just on the economy, but also in energy. And you put those two things together, working families are going to feel it in a strong way. Last piece is when they go file their taxes. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. There were a lot of people in the country, I don't think were making major changes to their allowances for when they get their pay stub every 2 weeks. But when they go file their taxes, they're probably going to see higher refunds than they have in the past. All of this is going to help working families, independent voters, Republicans, Democrats, doesn't really matter your politics. It's going to help them feel that they have more wind in their personal sails to make ends meet or to do the next thing on their checklist that they want to get done for themselves and their families.
And remember, everybody, what is the actual biggest increase that's hitting American families right now? It's the healthcare insurance. People, on average, the average health insurance cost for a family, this in 2026 will be $28,000. And again, too, remember, that's gone after a year. If you don't go to the hospital or nothing happens, hey, it's just gone. You got to keep paying it again. And this is what I'm showing you on the screen from long overdue enhanced premium tax credits should expire. This is from the JEC issue brief that 2/3 of all the spending from the federal government into the health insurance companies, Obamacare and whatnot, 2/3 don't even touch the actual consumer. 28% in dead weight loss and 38% to the insurers right off the bat. And then with the enrollees, they get 34% and they still have to pay the thousands and thousands of dollars. So Obamacare destroyed the healthcare system. It increased cost exponentially. Healthcare companies saw an increased profit margins of upwards of 1,100 to 1,500%. And guys, if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, this is where, again, the affordability and what Trump is trying to do and what Trump is trying to overcome, he's trying to beat out the past decade plus of healthcare costs, especially when it comes to what the Democrats, because remember, not a single Republican ever voted for the Obamacare setup. This is where, again, the facts matter.
You see some blue states, there are about 4 blue states, including New York, by the way, which are eliminating or taking away that no tax on tips, no tax on overtime bonus that Trump had been giving them, applying it to the state taxes. So it depends where you live. I do want to talk about Florida, though, because, of course, there you have 0 state taxes, which is why a lot of people, perhaps like you, moved there. But it's even in Florida, you get this affordability issue, and some people say it's what led to your new Democratic mayor of Miami.
No, I wouldn't go that far. I think Miami politics, the city of Miami, those are some intricate politics there. I wouldn't go that far. I think when it comes to affordability, this is the work that Governor DeSantis has really been spearheading to get under control. Our insurance rates have actually stabilized this year for the first time in a decade. That's really a kudos to him and the work the legislature did a couple of years ago. We're going through a political conversation about eliminating homestead property taxes. I support the governor in that regard. And so those things are going to continue to drive down the cost of living for Floridians. But to go back to your previous point you made, if you have Democrat politicians in blue states who do not want to have their citizens take advantage of the tax savings that Donald Trump has provided all the American people, this isn't partisan. It's not based on race. It's based for everybody. And if you have Democrat governors who want to take that away, that should be a window into the minds of where Democrats are. Exactly. They'd rather take your money than let you keep it for yourself. That's just un-American as far as I'm concerned.
And around Christmas time, I mean, these are Scrooges. They're Scrooges. They're putting coal in the stockings of Americans in their state. I mean, Governor Hochul has already indicated she's going to do it. I just have to ask you, though, go ahead.
More like the Grinch. I don't know about Scrooge. More like the Grinch.
All right, more like the Grinch. Finally, you mentioned DeSantis as you're running to replace.
So again, everybody, the tax breaks being stopped and rejected by these blue states, you cannot make this stuff up. This is what we're fighting against and against. This right here, all this stuff that's happening is from the judges, is from blue states. Now, Judge Boasberg is trying to force Trump to negotiate with Maduro to return deported terrorists. Like, tell me, guys, where in the world is this America First to bring back 130 illegal alien Trinidad Aragua gang members? Okay? This is not the America that people want. This is not what we voted for. What we voted for is for justice. What we voted for is for Trump to because again, to remember, Rudy Giuliani faced 13 felony accounts, was fined $148 million after he contested the Georgia's 2020 election. And now that we have found out that Fulton County admitted to 315,000 fraudulent counted votes, people are saying he needs restitution. This is all about getting justice for the average American. From these Democrats, from these people that have come into our country and have stolen our hard-earned tax dollars, sent it back to their country, because a lot of that's happening too. This is what we voted for, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. We're just trying to bring the facts of what's going on. Big breaking news, guys, but to me, what's happening, it's over for especially Tim Walz. Now that these 98 mayors are all going up against him, 98, everybody, that's a lot. With the Trump admin to force Walz to resign, to get his butt fired. That's what we want to see is resignations, firings, arrest, get out the corruption. Want to say, if you're watching, not part of the family yet, please consider joining our family, hitting that subscribe button. If you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button. Guys, y'all have been so amazing today in the chat. Thank you to everybody that supports our family. We are here to support you, to bring you the breaking news. That's why we, even with this partner of ours chapter, they compare every Medicare plan. So if you're turning 65 or over 65 and you're going through any life change, call them up, 667-895-3015. get your blessing. They have saved people thousands of dollars on their Medicare plans, and I want to see you be blessed as well. The number's at the bottom of the screen as well as in the description. And I want to give some special love to those that have given today, because remember, just a couple of days ago, we gave $10,000 to local charities. And because of your giving on that day, because people are giving on the show, and what you've given, guys, in the month of January, because we always donate on the same day every single month on the 22nd, we're going to be giving another huge donation to local charities, all because of you. And I want to give some special love to our boy Chris Prez with the gifted memberships. Show Chris some love in the chat for the 20 gifted memberships today. If you got a free membership from Chris, show him some love in the chat. Give it up to our boy Jim Barbato, OG of the family. Thank you so much, brother, for your support in helping us grow our family. Jerry Milstein, thank you so much to PDX67 for their gifted memberships. Thank you so much, El Prophet, Papa Don, Kathy Brewer, Jeremy Coles, the Memphis Conservative, Don Sturgis, Darlene K. Harris. Thank you so much, Jesus Only God. Welcome to the family. Robert Cash, our girl Anna Diaz. Show Anna some love in the chat, everybody. Give it up for Philip Petcho, as well as Thomas Brewer. Thank you so much, brother. Show Thomas, OG of the family, some love in the chat, as well as Stanley Miller. Thank you so much, brother. Show Stanley, member of the family, some love in the chat, as well as our boy Richard for their support. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing our videos on X, on Facebook. We're here to serve you. It's Christmas Eve. We hope you have a Merry Christmas. A lot of people have been asking, are we doing a video on Christmas? You bet your butt we are. So we'll see you tomorrow on Christmas Day just to celebrate some good times, guys. We love you all. Appreciate you so much, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.